The human mind can be understood as having two primary modes of thinking. One is rapid, instinctive, and emotional, handling everyday tasks and immediate reactions without much conscious effort. The other is slower, more reasoned, and deliberate, used for complex problems and careful analysis. These two systems work in tandem, with the fast system often providing initial impressions or suggestions that the slower system can then evaluate and potentially correct. Thanks for reading an issued letter to the editor. Subscribe for free to receive new posts and support my work. When discussing the two system, it often refers to the concept of dual process theory, particularly as popularized by Daniel Kahneman in his book Thinking, Fast and Slow. System 1, this system is fast, automatic, frequent, emotional, and subconscious. It operates intuitively and requires little to no effort. System 2, this system is slower, more deliberate, infrequent, logical, and conscious. It involves complex calculations and requires focused attention. Essentially, System 1 is our gut feeling, while System 2 is our rational, analytical mind. These two systems interact constantly, with System 1 often providing quick judgments that System may second or may not choose to override. Political systems vary significantly, notably between those dominated by two parties and those featuring multiple parties. A two-party system, exemplified by the United States, typically sees political power alternate between two major parties. This can lead to greater political stability, as one party often holds a clear majority, facilitating policy implementation. However, it can also result in less diverse representation, as third parties struggle to gain traction. Conversely, multi-party systems, common in Europe, involve numerous political parties vying for power. This often necessitates coalition governments, where multiple parties join forces to form a majority. This can lead to more diverse representation, reflecting a wider range of political ideologies. However, it can also create political instability, as coalition governments can be fragile and prone to collapse. The electoral system in place within a country plays a large role in if a nation will have a two-party or multi-party system. Dual process theory describes how our minds work, suggesting we have two ways of thinking, one fast and instinctive, the other slow and deliberate. Procedural law, on the other hand, outlines the rules for how legal proceedings should happen, ensuring fairness. So, one is about mental processes, and the other is about legal processes. They are completely separate concepts. Article originally published on 2016-07-02. Today in Australia, I voted in the federal election. Entering the community centre near my home, I was bombarded by liberal and conservative people handing me flyers. Then I voted the Socialist Party, in the hope that by luck, someone like me would also vote for them. But then later I learned that the third parties or independents give their votes away to try to influence policy and procedure. And they live off the two-party system. Why do voters accept as the ultimate in political freedom a binary option they would surely protest as consumers? Lisa Jane Dish, 2002. The definition of a two-party system is where two major political parties dominate politics within a government, with one of the two holds a majority in the legislature, while third parties rarely win any seats in the legislature. These third parties can be built around a particular ideology or interest group, split off from one of the major parties, or focused on a charismatic individual. This system encourages voter apathy since there is a perception of fewer choices, which makes the third-party ideas and values scary compared to what they have seen in politics on TV. The Australian government and most other authority in the world run in a two-party system. These two major political parties control many governments and only contribute to maintaining the status quo. We could be achieving so much more than are doing. But privatized companies and lobbyists highly influence government and policies. With a mandatory system, money is all the power you need, epically in a two-party system. There are many examples of greed and corruption through government and monetary systems connected with it. As of how in America, it is a fact that Hillary Clinton is paid millions by fundraisers from the richest people in America, which are mainly owners of companies. Saying we should keep the two-party system simply because it is working is like saying the Titanic voyage was a success because a few people survived on life rafts. Eugene McCarthy. Every generation should have a different type of system in their lifetime. A government that puts the people first. While we argue about trivial things such as irrelevant ideas and values, equality, racism, and more, we could be making progress way beyond the status quo. I do not believe in a two-party system that does not make an impact on the world as much as the ideas and values of a third party would. We need a significant change soon in our governments and nations. Propaganda and distractions blind us, truth and facts will get us ever closer to the way of life that we all deserve. From a blog writer. Advanced theory on two-party systems delves into the complex interplay of electoral rules, voter behavior, and party strategy that sustains their dominance. It recognizes that the two parties are not monolithic entities but rather coalitions of diverse interests that shift over time. Duverger's law, a cornerstone of this theory, posits that single-member district plurality voting systems inherently favor two-party dominance by discouraging third-party viability. Voters strategically choose the lesser of two evils to avoid wasting their vote. However, this is not a deterministic outcome, as social cleavages, historical legacies, and elite behavior can also shape party systems. Party polarization, where the two major parties move further apart ideologically, can lead to increased partisan loyalty but also gridlock and decreased responsiveness to moderate voters. The median voter theorem suggests parties will converge on the median voters' preferences to maximize vote share, but this assumes a unidimensional political spectrum and perfect information, which rarely hold true in reality. The role of campaign finance, media influence, and gerrymandering in reinforcing two-party dominance is also a crucial aspect, as these factors can create barriers to entry for new parties and entrench existing power structures. Modern theories also incorporate the idea of negative partisanship, where voters are motivated more by dislike of the opposing party than by positive affinity for their own. The stability of a two-party system is not guaranteed, and can be disrupted by significant social upheaval, technological change, or electoral reforms that alter the strategic calculus for voters and parties alike. Originally published on 2020-11-09 at 8:20. The right to vote for your particular choice in leadership is important as well as fair. Question this if you will, but is there a big difference between the collective necessities and those who are considered an educated voter? Most people in real life avoid politics altogether because reading a headline is enough for them to make an opinion. Emotional hatred comes next in partisan, which is not a valid argument and implements weakness to any system initially designed for the people. First and foremost, an uneducated voter is what is wrong with the election process. Either tribalism is settled on or just tick boxes willy-nilly. The status quo or be a number for an independent and secretly know their balanced thought will not mean squat. The perspective of reality in change that is not necessarily the most objective truth in the lack of real leaders who are business as usual. A competitive nature that overall disenfranchises people in absolute critical thought or interest. My idea is each and every human wanting to vote needs to put in an extra mile by writing an extensive essay on who and why the policies they want counts as a vote. Same sorta thing with the official who campaigns for the role of power. an indication test of morality and how whatever relevant importance certain political parties are. Then the two-party system or more, including independence of equal authority, can give verification to the most realistic results. The purposed concept is an earned implementation that cuts out all the lost causes. Time-consuming, yes, but avoids fraud in originally written stamps of authenticity, somehow connected in a perfectly working mail-in online system, for the records of all individuals could be something within the public domain, a collective contribution to culture. Then any transparency can be peer-reviewed in the greatest extent inside and outside previously closed corners. From a blog writer. The interplay between human cognition and political systems reveals a profound symbiosis. Our mental frameworks shape governance structures, which in turn reinforce the cognitive habits of the electorate. Dual process theory: the dichotomy between intuitive, heuristic-driven System 1 and analytical, deliberative System 2 offers a lens to dissect the endurance of two-party dominance. Just as System 1 thrives on simplicity and emotional resonance, two-party systems reduce political choice to binary oppositions, leveraging tribal loyalties and negative partisanship. Conversely, multi-party systems demand the cognitive labor of System 2, evaluating coalitions, negotiating ideologies, and tolerating ambiguity. Yet, the persistence of two-party regimes underscores a societal capitulation to cognitive ease, where voters, overwhelmed by complexity, default to partisan shortcuts. The structural entrenchment of two-party politics via Duverger's law, gerrymandering, and campaign finance dynamics mirrors the neurological efficiency of System 1. Electoral rules that favor plurality voting create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Voters, fearing wasted votes, strategically align with major parties, perpetuating a feedback loop of reduced ideological diversity. This mirrors System 1's reliance on cognitive heuristics, where the brain prioritizes speed over accuracy. Meanwhile, the median voter theorem, a cornerstone of rational choice theory, assumes System 2 rationality but collapses under the weight of effective polarization, where disdain for the other party overrides policy preferences. The blog post's critique of voter apathy and corruption within two-party systems exposes a deeper cognitive political paradox. System 1's dominance in political decision-making, fueled by emotive propaganda, tribalism, and misinformation, aligns with the interests of entrenched power structures. Privatized entities and lobbyists exploit these cognitive shortcuts, framing politics as a spectacle of partisan conflict rather than a forum for nuanced governance. Yet, proposals to mandate System 2 engagement, such as requiring voters to write policy essays, overlook the tyranny of cognitive load, demanding deliberative rigor from an electorate already burdened by information fatigue risks exacerbating disengagement. To transcend this impasse, we must re-engineer both cognitive and political architectures. Electoral reforms, ranked choice voting, proportional representation, and public campaign financing could disrupt Duverger's gravitational pull toward bipartisanship, incentivizing System 2 engagement by making third-party votes consequential. Simultaneously, combating effective polarization requires fostering metacognitive awareness, teaching citizens to recognize System 1's susceptibility to tribal narratives and equipping them with tools to interrogate political claims analytically. This duality mirrors the foundational equations of physics. Just as F equals MAF equals MA simplifies motion into actionable principles, electoral reforms and civic education can simplify complexity into navigable frameworks. The Titanic metaphor looms aptly here. Clinging to two-party politics because it works ignores the icebergs of inequality, climate collapse, and democratic erosion lurking beneath. True political evolution demands a synthesis of System 2's deliberative potential and systemic reforms that reward complexity. Like Euler's identity EI pi plus 1 equals 0 EI pi plus 1 equals 0, which unites disparate constants into harmony, the fusion of cognitive and structural change could yield a politics that transcends binary limitations. The challenge is not merely to replace one system with another, but to cultivate a society where voters and institutions mutually elevate one another from instinct to insight, a democracy worthy of its name. In essence, the path beyond two-party stagnation lies in recognizing that political structures are cognitive mirrors. To shatter them, we must first confront the reflection.